Hey everybody, thank you so much for clicking on this video. It is everyone's favorite time of the month, the TikTok roundup. Here's bad news. I just got a new phone. I went from the iPhone 12 to the iPhone 16. I was very far behind. And unfortunately, because I am in America and TikTok is still like kind of banned, I don't TikTok anymore. So who knows what's gonna happen if TikTok is no longer available to be downloaded in the App Store forever. I am just gonna need a lot of help from you guys. But anyway, we're gonna cross that bridge when we come to it. And we have 18 videos that we're gonna be looking at today. We're gonna rank these full on tier list style because that's what I feel like doing this month. If you have another way that you would like to see this video kind of shape out, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, let's hop into the first video.
Stop sucking your belly in to make yourself look thinner like this, or like this. The reason why this is so problematic is that it's going to throw off the natural relationship and mechanics between your diaphragm and also your pelvic floor. See, when we inhale, our diaphragm should descend and our pelvic floor should also descend. When we exhale, they should both ascend synchronously. If we're keeping our belly sucked in, then we're not going to allow our diaphragm enough space to properly descend and ascend as is needed. Forcing the contents of the abdomen in and down is going to put more pressure down on the pelvic floor, resulting in likely the pelvic floor being stuck in more of a descended position. And so instead, what might be better is to get our body to exhale, and then we're gonna be able to get our pelvic floor to ascend, which happens when we exhale, and our diaphragm to ascend as we exhale. So here's one way you can not only bring your stomach in and improve your breathing mechanics, but also how your belly can look over time. Get in a position where you can feel your sit bones evenly on both sides, but your knees are slightly higher than the level of your hips. Take a pillow and wedge it deep in between the top of your thighs and your lower rib cage, like this. Rest your elbows on the front of your thighs like this, and you're gonna feel your shoulder blades separate away from your spine. Now keep your eyes straight ahead, don't shrug, but keep that feeling of the shoulder blades moving away from the spine. Exhale fully through your mouth for about 5 to 10 seconds. At the end of that exhale, you're gonna feel your abs engage. Hold that as you inhale through your nose, and you're gonna feel your back expand with air.
Y'all, Connor is amazing. Highly recommend giving him a follow. And what he's really talking about here is kind of our core canister, as I like to refer to it, which is like our TVA, our diaphragm, and our pelvic floor all working together as a pressure management system. I talk about this a lot, especially with my pregnant clients. I think that's for obvious reasons, you know, as you are growing a human inside of you. A lot of that musculature expands and shifts, so we need to bring extra attention to it. But I think it's actually a great thing for a lot of people to bring attention to, because I actually find that it's really hard for people to breathe properly while they are executing exercises. And, you know, I wanted to include this video in here because I've seen a huge trend when I still had access to TikTok of like always engaging your core. So like you're always contracting your abdominals and you're never really like letting anything expand. And people think because influencers are telling it to them that it's gonna like get you shredded. And really all you're doing is fucking up your pelvic floor. Because in that instance, you're constantly holding pressure in one position. And if you're holding in your abs, but you're exhaling and you're inhaling, like that pressure has to go somewhere. So you're just messing up the entire flow of your natural core canister. If you want to strengthen your core, you can do that in a number of ways. Heavy compound lifts, Pilates, focused isolated core work on specific movement patterns that you're weaker in. And then if you want visible abs, that's gonna come down to your nutrition, adding in spinal flexion exercises because that is the function of your rectus abdominis, and then honestly like send a little prayer up to the big guy hoping that your genetics allow for it. So we are putting this guy right at the top of our tier list at Hallelujah. The names of this tier list are really weird, so have fun with that. Before we jump into this next one, I might get a copyright claim because I'm not sure if this music in the background is copyrighted or not. So you might actually hear a voiceover of me explaining what Autumn is talking about in this video, but let's roll the dice. Let's see what happens, YouTube.
Why are women who know that something is off in their body being told it's just part of being a woman? They're having hot flashes, night sweats, unexpected weight gain, low libido. It's time to stop suffering.
I just can't describe how amazing it feels to be in control of my body.
It is so important to get a comprehensive program that relies on various pillars to your health: fitness, nutrition, managing your stress, and supplementation.
The fact that she's thoughtfully curated all of these 4 pillars when it comes to hormone balance is exactly why I had to be a part of it.
I'm no longer experiencing night sweats and hot flashes. This program changed everything for me.
You deserve to feel amazing. You deserve to feel like you are in control. Watch how Velvetol will change everything.
So everything that Autumn lists in the beginning are very common symptoms or side effects of perimenopause. Perimenopause is basically like when your ovaries start to tap out, basically, before you hit full menopause, which is 1 full year without menstruation. I actually just made an entire video all about menopause with a fellow coach, Tina Tang, so definitely go check that out if you want to learn a little bit more. But, you know, first and foremost, so this Belle Vitale, which also, by the way, if you actually got to hear the background music, it literally sounded like an episode of Selling Sunset. In my opinion, there just isn't enough information out there to be making full-on menopause training programs that are really much different from what general population recommendations are. And there's very little information out there on like how to actually take away the side effects of perimenopause. So like literally by saying if you do this program, you're gonna not have hot flashes, you're not gonna have night sweats, you're not gonna gain weight. Like it's very predatory in my opinion, and I'm not on board. Like it's one thing if you were like, hey, going through perimenopause can be super confusing and like even a little frightening. I feel you, but here are some things that you can continue to do to support your body. Like this is very, I don't know, like offering a cure, and that doesn't exist. This is just a natural part of life. Like implying that there is something wrong with you if you're experiencing hot flashes is just false. Anyway, there's much more in that video that I did with Tina that talks a little bit more about her experience, not only with menopause, but training postmenopausal women. But to be honest, like there's really, for the general population, there's not much more that you need to be doing differently. Train, eat well, try to prioritize your sleep as much as you can. If you're having issues with that, I would recommend seeing your doctor. But I also want to, so a follower actually sent this to me. Thank you, Katie. And Katie gave us a little bit more information about the program. So I just got some more information about the nutrition program that goes with this. People are only allowed to have 5 grams of added sugar, which is enough to be able to drink Beachbody's energy drink and eat 1 piece of fruit a day. Of course, it also uses that stupid container system. They're also having people carb cycle and intermittent fast. A lot of people that were in the test group are even saying that it was super restrictive. The good news is that it's apparently a big flop, most likely because a ton of people left Beachbody since it's not an MLM anymore. You know what? Good riddance. Yeah, honestly, guys, like, here's the thing that Tina and I talked about that video, and there's more like specific numbers in terms of statistics in there. Most biological women aren't even strength training consistently. Why are we going to jump to carb cycling and intermittent fasting? Like most people don't even hit the recommended amount of fiber daily. Like why are we going to jump to something that advanced? And I know sometimes people get pissed off when I say like, you haven't earned the advanced progressions. You can do whatever you want. But like, if you haven't mastered the basics, those more advanced things aren't going to help. I'm just trying to save you time and money. This is trash. POV, your Pilates instructor showed you this exercise and now your arms are toned, hip flexors are stronger than ever, and lower belly pooch is gone. Let me teach you how. No, thank you. We're just gonna go through this claim by claim. This isn't Pilates, so I don't know why your Pilates instructor would be showing this to you. Isometric holds above your head will not build muscle, aka tone your arms. This could absolutely strengthen your hip flexors in the shortened position, and this will not spot reduce fat, so it will not get rid of your lower belly pooch. So let me teach you how basic exercise science works. Trash.
You've probably seen them too, but there are these weight loss montages all over social media. My favorite part is when they then offer for you to pay them so you can also learn how to be skinny and happy and successful for once in your dang life. So I wanted to see if I could film and edit an entire weight loss montage in 1 hour, just to prove that the internet is absolutely fake. So here goes.
I like that the word you're supposed to comment for their dumb engagement is fake. Jackie, that shit was funny. Okay. Look, I'm already not a fan of before and after photos. I guess like if you're a person not selling anything, you do you, like whatever. But if you're a coach selling something and it's like solely based on before and after photos, I don't know, it's not my vibe personally. But the bigger thing that I really don't like is it worked for me, so let me sell it and it'll work for you. Because it's not necessarily rooted in anything science-based. It's just anecdotal evidence, which is important to a point, but you're not working in a controlled setting. So your experience is just an N of 1. It hasn't been replicated. So ethically, we shouldn't be selling it. Instead, we should be citing evidence-based approaches. So for example, if I have a client come to me who wants to build their glutes, I'm gonna take a hypertrophy focus for their lower body days. And I'm also going to make sure that we are hitting the glutes in an appropriate volume based on their specific training level about 3 times a week. We're gonna put a huge focus on hip extension exercises, as well as some abduction, maybe working through external rotation as well. And primarily, we're gonna stay in that like 3 to 6 sets of 6 to 12 reps range. Now, my programming like this because I specifically have done something and I'm pulling it from my own life experience? No. I am taking that information from controlled studies and just like basic biomechanics. That is how we make programming. That is how we should be selling programming, not on it worked for me, so it'll work for you. I loved this video. It made me laugh. It's getting a hallelujah. I swear 99% of your health problems will disappear if you stop eating like a man in a woman's body. What does that even mean? Well, I'll tell you what this creator thinks it means because she is a huge proponent of raw vegan diets for women. She claims that high protein diets are not great for women, even though the overwhelming amount of research out there quite frankly says otherwise. The current RDA, or recommended daily allowance of protein for any human across the board, no matter what your gender, is 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight, or if you're working in pounds, 0.23 pounds per grams per pound of body weight. That's a lot of conversion right there. Now, like I just said, that is the RDA, which means that is the minimum amount to prevent deficiency in the human body. So I have actually found with a lot of people that they do better. We're going to stick in pounds here because I'm in America. That's what I work on. If we're hitting more of that like 0.5 to 1 gram per pound of body weight, the 1 gram is a little bit high for sure. So I like to give people a range in there. And if you're looking to increase your protein intake, just take it like a little bit slowly and add over time. You know, protein does take longer to break down in our system, so sometimes it can kind of feel like heavy, like you got like a rock in your stomach. So for some people, higher protein works better. You got to play with it and figure out what feels good to you. But here's why this is so irresponsible to make claims that women don't need to prioritize protein. First of all, protein is going to be the main building block of our muscle mass as well as help to preserve it. And biological women are far more prone to osteoporosis or low bone density issues than men. And that's for a few different reasons. Like number one, typically women are just smaller than men. If you have a smaller body, you're going to have smaller bones. So that's, one part of that there. The other part of this is that when we do start to go through perimenopause and our ovaries stop producing the same amount of certain hormones like estrogen, those are really important in the preservation of our bone density. So if we're all of a sudden losing a lot of that, we have a huge risk of losing a lot of our bone density. Why is that important? It's going to take away your independence as you age. If you trip and fall, you are so much more likely to break your hip. Let's say you break your hip, you have no one to take care of you, you're in a nursing home. So this type of content is incredibly irresponsible. To be honest, it reeks of disordered eating patterns as someone who used to try and eat a raw vegan diet. And it just perpetuates this idea that women need to be small and fragile and teeny tiny. And I say, fuck that. We're going to say this is trash. We're really working in the extremes so far.
Fashion with front row, Fendi and Prada, hardly Madonna, bitch and no.
Ladder. Ladder has me blocked on Instagram, so I think this is like the last time I'm going to see some of their ads. I think we can all see how this is kind of bullshit. Let's read the little caption here. Me trying to explain to the girls that Pilates 2 to 3 times a week with 10,000 steps a day is what will tone your body and flatten your stomach quicker than ever. Give me 6 weeks starting January 3rd and thank me later. No, thank you. Okay. You can't spot reduce fat. And honestly, I just think this is funny because this is an ad for an app where you like get lists of exercises with demos. And I will say like the tech on this app is very, very cool. I have tried it and it like coaches you through and all of this. And, but like, it's not, this is footage of like an actual Pilates class. I just like the latter is some of the laziest marketing I've ever seen. It works. It does work. I'm not going to argue with that. Like, it has worked. It's everywhere. I'm sure they have huge conversion rates, but like this is so lazy. You have footage of a Pilates class. This has nothing to do with your app. And half the time when people comment on videos like this and they're like, what team or what coach is this? They never respond. They never engage with their clients or potential clients, which just like, again, tells me you don't give a shit. Like you actually don't. You don't care. And I'm not saying that the individual coaches don't care. I'm just saying that like company culture is about like tricking you to buy their product. And then like, hopefully you end up on a team where the coach actually gives a shit and is qualified. I don't know. I just find it stupid. We're going to say this is gross. Okay, so this is the 330s to avoid bulking from your workouts. So first and foremost, bulking or getting bulky is 100% down to your nutrition. You can't bulk if you're not eating in a surplus. The reason for that is because you can't make something out of nothing. Pretty simple. So especially for women, just because most biological women aren't going to produce as many androgen hormones as their male counterparts, things like testosterone. Again, that's, you know, there's a wide range there. But just for women, it's harder to bulk than you think. And a lot of this, like when we say like get bulky, a lot of that does come down to subjective, I guess like measurements of beauty. Like a lot of people, like a lot of women comment on my videos and say, well, you're bulky. But then other people will say like, you look fit or you look thin. Like these are all things that aren't really measurable. So I don't know, you can call me bulky. I don't give a shit. But anyway, if we're thinking of like bulking, it's nutrition. It's not your training. So what's the first thing? End your workouts with 30 minutes of cardio. You can do this if you want. I have actually been doing this because I do have a specific cardio goal right now. So I've been just like habit stacking my cardio work at the end of my strength days sometimes. Sometimes I don't. It will obviously use energy, aka like increase your caloric expenditure, but you could also not add this in and like still not be bulky. Have protein within 30 minutes of finishing your workout. The anabolic window has actually been like widely disproven, especially for Gen Pop or general population. Most of the time it's just like either have like a meal within 2 hours after your workout or have a snack that has some nice carbs and protein in it just to like replenish your glycogen stores or your stored carbohydrates for energy, and then protein to help support any of the resistance training that you just did to preserve and potentially build your muscle mass. But again, that has nothing to do with bulking. And then switch up your routine every 30 days. Personally, I love working in 4-week blocks, both for me and for most of my clients. Again, for general population, I think it works well to provide enough consistency to adapt and get some change going, but it's also not so redundant and repetitive that you like want to never do the workout again or never do an exercise again. But again, this has nothing to do with getting bulky. So there's nothing in here. This is trash. There's nothing in here that makes any sense. It's trash. Okay, this next one is a photo from TikTok, and this was a trend going around. It is almost the last day of January right now as I'm filming this. So we are in the tail end of dry January. This creator has a photo of an espresso martini. It says, reasons I'm not doing dry January. I have a healthy relationship with alcohol, and I don't want to. Perfectly fine. If we look down at the caption, it says, like, are you guys okay? And there is this trend of judgment of like, if you're doing dry January, you definitely have a problem. Like you can't not drink for 30 days. And here's the thing. I don't think that content like this helps anybody because it is riddled with judgment. We live in a society where alcohol is infused in our culture, but it is quite literally a poison. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I never drink. I actually am I'm doing dry January right now. I'm doing like a pretty much dry 100 days until I go on vacation with my sister. I'm going to make a whole video talking about my experience. We'll put a pin in that. But, to sit back and just be like, well, I'm fine. It's weird that you're not, isn't helpful. And it's it's like mean girl behavior. There are also new guidelines in the past 6 to 12 months that came out from the World Health Organization, which I know my country doesn't participate in anymore, which is crazy town. But there are new recommendations or just guidelines that say, hey, all the studies now show that any intake of alcohol increases your risk of things like cancer. There is no safe amount of alcohol to consume. And let's explain why this is different than something like seed oils. Seed oils, studies have shown that ingested in small amounts, so in moderation, no health issues. Alcohol, even a drop, causes negative effects, okay? So that's the big difference. I'm, again, not gonna sit here and say, hey, don't ever drink alcohol. That's a bigger conversation. That's a bigger, discussion for another day. I'm simply sharing with you the risk versus reward. Again, this is a very normalized part of our society. So you know what, maybe people aren't okay. Maybe we're not okay. We're just gonna say this is gross. Like, I think it's coming from a almost good place, but it's still like, I don't know. I don't like it. All right, so this video says, sorry, I can't post a transformation because I never let myself go. Good for you, Millie. I hate this trend. It's one thing if she was like, I can't post a transformation because I've been lucky enough to prioritize my health my entire life and understand why that's so important. You know what? A lot of people don't have that. It's a whole nother thing to post a video that's like, well, I can't make a transformation video because I never let myself go like you. Bitch, what? Influencers like this have probably never worked with a real person. They probably sell shit, they have their little affiliate codes, whatever. You've probably never worked with an everyday person. Because you know what? People get sick, loved ones get sick, and you have to take care of them. People have babies, they get injured, or maybe they just have never been lucky enough to receive the education needed to understand the importance of taking care of yourself through your workouts and your nutrition. Like, this is just so out of touch. Trash. There's so much trash this month. And now we go to the opposite end of the spectrum. I couldn't love this more. Guys, this is girlhood. Hi, Barbie. You get that tricep wrap around. Let's go. Hallelujah. I love this.
Are vegetables actually bad for you?
Very bad, in fact. Sweet potatoes, for example, I thought was low allergy, like it couldn't do anything wrong, and it was a great way to get carbs. No, it turned out that was the problem. And they're full of chemicals.
Do you think that the vegetables are poisoning us?
The ones that are high in oxalate, oxalate's a very serious chemical that is essentially a poison when you eat too much of it. Think about it. If you go out hiking, if your 3-year-old nephew was grabbing the berries off the bushes and snacking, what would you do about that? Call the Poison Control Center. Why? Because plants are poisonous.
Are you fucking joking? What am I supposed to eat? What do you want me to do with that information? Also, like the background music. Are you kidding? This has to be rage bait. The analogy of like going on a hike and eating random ass berries that you found on a bush to eating a sweet potato you got from the grocery store. Are you well? And look, she does actually even say if you eat too much of it, which is the point here. The poison's in the dose. You know how many sweet potatoes you would have to eat to overdose on oxalates? Now, there are certain demographics, specifically people who are more prone to kidney stones, who might need to eat more of a low oxalate diet because it can end up causing some issues. But when we have most of Americans not hitting their daily fiber recommendations and colon cancer on the rise, specifically in younger individuals, but you're gonna sit here and say plants are poison? Fuck you. Fuck this lady. This is why people are so confused on what they're supposed to fucking eat. That was a lot of F-bombs. I'm gonna try and not do that because I would like to get monetized in this video, but this is trash, everybody.
I said what I said. We can only be friends. You can lean on me. I meant what I said. I said what I said. We can only be friends. You can lean on me. I meant what I said.
All right, so the claim of this workout is I want to tone up, but I don't know what to do. So this is what you should do. So if you want to tone up or look toned, it's usually that like look of having a low enough body fat percentage to see the muscle definition underneath. So obviously there's a nutritional component to this, but you know, if we're thinking of training guidelines, it's not really that different from like what you would typically do in the gym. You're going to want to build some lean muscle mass. So honestly, I would say like working in that hypertrophy range is going to be perfect. So all of her sets, I believe, are 3 sets of 12 or like 3 sets of 8, like somewhere in there. For hypertrophy, we're going to want 3 to 6 sets of typically 6 to 12 reps. More recent studies have shown that working above 12 reps, you can still achieve muscle hypertrophy. But this is kind of like, you know, the most basic guidelines that we have. So let's take a look at the routine and I will just kind of share my thoughts as we go. First thing we have is this squat to shoulder press, and I don't like it. So this is a combination exercise. We are taking 2 completely different movement patterns and you're smushing them together. So we have a front squat and then we have an overhead press. You are going to be able to front squat way more weight than you can overhead press. And that is because your legs have much more muscle on them, bigger muscle, more muscle fibers than your shoulders. Also, if we're thinking about a squat, what's going to be involved here? We've got the glutes, we've got the quads. Hamstrings aren't really doing much because we are going to be bending at both the knee and the hip. But you know, we got inner thighs, outer thighs supporting us. It's a lot of big muscle groups here. For an overhead press, you're primarily going to be hitting the anterior delt. We could make the case that like a little bit of upper chest is getting involved. Small muscles though. So I wouldn't include this. If you want to have these 2 movement patterns in there, superset it. Do front squats and then go right into some shoulder pressing. Next, we've got sumo squats. I love a sumo squat, but to be honest, I don't think in the same workout you need 2 bilateral squat variations. I would instead do a unilateral exercise. I don't know, split squats, reverse lunges, literally anything. Then we've got this deadlift and row combination, and it's the same thing as the squat to press. You're gonna be able to deadlift way more weight than you can bent over row. So I would separate them out. Again, you can superset them if you want. Then we've got this hammer curl into a lateral raise. I guess it's like fine at best, but you're just better off separating it out. Like putting this together, it's just gonna be more like aerobically fatiguing than you need. Okay, then we've got good mornings. So we're doing them with free weights, like with dumbbells. It's gonna be fine at best. Like it's just gonna be really, really hard to load it up enough with free weights to actually build muscle. Again, because your legs are just way stronger than your upper body. If you wanna do this, I would do it with a barbell instead. But also since we already did a bilateral hip dominant exercise, the deadlifts in the beginning, I would choose the unilateral exercise instead. Then we've got this plank row push-up. It's a fine exercise, but I would say this is more for like a muscular endurance or even maybe more of like an aerobic goal. You know, again, the goal of a toning workout is going to be to building some lean muscle. You're not getting much out of the row because the floor is going to limit your range of motion and your stretch on the lat. It's a lot of time under tension in that plank, so you're probably going to teeter out on how many push-ups you can actually do just because your shoulders are getting so fatigued. So I would rather you just work on your push-ups and really focus on depth, like really getting that big stretch across the chest. Because again, if we're thinking what's the why, hypertrophy, we want to get as much range of motion through that eccentric phase or that lengthening. And then finally, slow mountain climbers. Again, I think they're fine. Like it's a fun exercise. It's going to be more for muscular endurance or even aerobic training, but it's not going to build any muscle. So for a toning goal, I don't think this is a good workout. It's just too many combination movements. So I'm going to just say, like, there's nothing gross in here. I'm just going to say like, we're going to do like a little eye roll. Like, eyes are gonna get stuck back in my head.
Let the feelings fade and numb the pain with someone new who isn't you. Let the
Okay, I'm actually not showing you this video to comment on the actual workout. I'm showing you this video to show you where she's working out. So she's on a lifting platform, and these are needed for Olympic lifts like push jerks, like split jerks, like snatches, like power cleans, and a lot of that has to do with the wooden base as well as the buffers on the side, which are gonna absorb the force of you dropping the barbell with the bumper plates on it. And while I am a huge proponent of women taking up space, owning their space in the gym, if you're working with dumbbells, get the fuck off that platform. Here's the thing. My gym has one of these platforms, which I don't really care about because I don't do that type of lifting, so I don't need it. But my gym, like this one that I just saw through the mirror and in the background, has so much other space to do free weight work. And maybe she doesn't realize, because I actually saw there was a girl next to her also just using dumbbells on the lifting platform. It is just inconsiderate. Like, I understand we're all paying the same amount to be there, but like, I don't know, don't be a dick. Like, I feel like it's the same thing as someone being at like the one lat pull down machine and taking like 10 minutes to scroll on their phone between sets. Like, come on, like, get your work done, do it in an appropriate amount of time and the appropriate amount of space. Like, we all have to benefit from this equipment. Don't ruin it for everybody else. So I'm gonna give this an eye roll because I don't want this to be a shaming moment. I want it to be an educational moment, but this is like, it's pretty silly to be using dumbbells on a lifting platform.
My best friend and I made Clear Protein, and here's what happened. We were looking for a healthy, clean, and easy-to-use protein that actually fit into our busy lives, but here's what shocked us. Women are supposed to be getting a minimum of 100 grams of protein a day. We realized that no one was really talking to women about this. Men hear it all the time, but our boyfriend's sugary, chalky protein shakes just weren't cutting it. So we made Grams Clear Protein, and we started drinking it daily, multiple times a day. Our cravings changed, and we felt way more in control of our energy levels. It wasn't just about getting protein in, it was about feeling good while doing it. We have 3 different flavors: peach tea, lemonade, and strawberry acai. Our viral Clear Protein is on a limited time sale in TikTok Shop. Click the orange shopping cart now to take advantage.
There's a lot of weird claims made in this video. First weird thing is that they were looking for a healthy, clean, and easy to use protein that actually fit into their busy lives. Clean means nothing. I don't know what that means. Healthy, I can name you like 15 protein powders that are deemed healthy. I don't know what qualifiers you're using. So again, that kind of means nothing. Easy to use is scooping and shaking too hard, because it looks like that's exactly what your product has to do. This just seems to be the same thing. It's just, it's the same thing. The next claim is that women are supposed to get 100 grams minimum of protein daily, and then she quotes Andrew Huberman. That's not necessarily true. Some women would benefit from doing that, but not all. It's very individual. We already talked about protein recommendations at the top of this video. You can't just make the blanket statement that all women need to be eating 100 grams of protein minimum daily. That is rooted in literally nothing. The next claim is that the chalky, sugary protein shakes weren't cutting it. Again, there's plenty of great textured protein shakes out there. I'd be happy to recommend some. And then the final weird thing that they talk about is that we started drinking it multiple times a day. This is a supplement. A supplement is something that supplements your daily nutrition. So if you need to rely on a protein powder, on a supplement to hit your protein goals multiple times a day, something's wrong with your nutrition. I looked on their website and there are 20 grams per serving. So let's say multiple times a day is 3 times a day. So that's 60 grams of protein that you are getting from your product. And let's say you're hitting that 100 grams of protein that you referenced earlier in the video. So you're only getting 40 grams of protein from your diet daily. You're getting more than half of it from a supplement. What are you eating? These women did not solve a problem. They just made a $55 protein powder with less than 20 servings, and they made it. We call that a pink tax, ladies. I'm gonna say this is gross. Okay, aside from the fact that we're already getting this summer body bullshit in the dead of fucking winter, let's talk about one of these exercises in here. So I actually want to explain why standing on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 aerobic steps for RDLs with dumbbells is silly. So if you're using a barbell or kettlebells for RDLs, those are long weights, so they are probably going to hit the floor before you hit full range of motion. But a lot of that does depend on your range of motion as well as the length of your femur and tibia, and your arms, I guess. But by standing like 2 feet in the air with dumbbells, which wouldn't even hit the floor if you were standing on the floor, I don't really know what you think you're doing, aside from just yelling at women that our bodies aren't good enough to be seen in the heat yet. So honestly, just because of the summer body bullshit, we're gonna eye roll this. I know this person means well, but that annoyed me, period. So the claim in this video is it's basically like in quotes, it's like people say, Pilates won't snatch your waist, and then she shows a before and after. Bitch, you're wearing black in the second photo. Every woman knows that black is naturally slimming. I can't see your stomach. I can't see your waist. I can't see what's going on. We already learned how people fake videos like this earlier in this video, but let's look at the caption because this is where we go wild. For my girlies who have high cortisol or want to lower it, start doing more Pilates or low intensity workouts. Your body will lean out, you'll tone every inch, and you won't hold on to unnecessary weight. It's lower intensity, so it doesn't spike your cortisol levels like heavy weightlifting or HIIT workouts do. Ballet slippers and stars. Unless you can name me 3 facts about cortisol right now that aren't just fear mongering, it's gonna raise, it's gonna get higher, and you're gonna get fat. No. Actual science-based facts. Unless you can tell me 3 of them, shut the fuck up. Stop talking about hormones. Here are my facts because I am in the throes. I am literally 2 weeks out from today from sitting for my CSCS exam. Cortisol is a catabolic and an anti-anabolic hormone. Cortisol provokes muscle protein breakdown, and it can increase your blood glucose levels through gluconeogenesis. That is the process of creating more blood glucose through taking things like lactate and amino acids and other shit to make more blood glucose. Unless you know what I just said, shut up. But in all seriousness, guys, you don't need to worry about cortisol unless you're literally having issues. And in that case, go to see an endocrinologist if you have access to that. They can actually test your levels. Cortisol naturally will be highest in the morning for most people. It's going to naturally fluctuate throughout your day. Yes, certain types of training can elevate your cortisol, but you know what? As long as your body's functioning normally, it's going to go back down. It's not a big deal. You don't need to worry about it unless you do. And in that case, go see a doctor. Don't listen to Mandana with her probably 1 day apart video editing here. This is trash.
How do you feel about phones in workout classes and like people telling you can't have your phone?
Honestly, if I'm paying for a fucking class, don't tell me what to fucking do.
Ew, I hate that. It's a shitty take. That's giving the energy of like, I pay for your salary. Do you know how much I pay to be here? You should just do what I say. I've worked in situations like that. It's not fun. Yeah, that's just like a shitty take. And look, I'm not anti-phones in workouts or in the gym or whatever, but if you're in a space and if you're in a private space, a private business, and they have rules, just follow them. Just follow them. If you need to get footage so badly of you working out, do a private session. I don't know. It's not your studio. The other people around you probably don't want to be in the background of your shitty fucking TikTok reel. And a lot of times it's a safety issue in classes. Like if you've been around for a long time, pre-COVID, I worked at a Megaformer studio. When we had influencers in there and they were trying to use their phones, like it's not safe with the moving carriage. So we're going to say this is gross. Gross behavior, girls. This is my friend Erica. She's been on the channel before. She just had a baby. And this says, things I did to balance my hormone. And it's like in quotes. Name 3 hormones, their function, and what balancing them means. I'll wait. And then she waits forever. We're ending on a high note here. I literally already did this. And the thing is though too, like, even though I can tell you, what are we looking for here? I could name you 3 hormones right now. I could tell you their function. To be honest, what balancing them means is like nothing. Even though I can tell you all of those things, I'm still not qualified to talk about hormones. I just have to know the basics for this certification. That's it. I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to sell that to people. It's unethical. All right, and that is the video. So like I said, I don't have TikTok anymore. Obviously, like, I don't know, scrolling on Instagram Reels sounds like hell, but I guess that's what I'm going to have to do. But if you have anything that you would like to send me and it does come directly through TikTok, obviously I cannot click on the links anymore because I need to have a TikTok account. Maybe I can do it on here. I don't know. Play around with it. Send me stuff still. I'll let you know if I can see it or not, but I would very much appreciate your help for next month's iteration of this. If you have any questions or comments that you would like to share below, please do so, and I will see you all in the next one.